What up, everybody? This is July at Kickback Couture. First off, I want to welcome all my new subscribers and say Happy New Year. Everybody has goals. I know that for a fact. Some people don't. If you don't, hey, it is what it is. Keep doing what you're doing. I hope you're doing good. If you set goals, then let's smash it. Let's crush it this year. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to talk about mixing your kick and your 808. Again, more focused on the kick and 808 as opposed to the mix as a whole. I'm going to do another video on how to mix with gain staging in mind, so you do that properly. So I got this basic pattern and I haven't mixed anything, so we're going to hear raw kick and the 808 playing the same pattern, and I got a little melody under it. So as you could hear, you weren't able to discern the kick from the 808. The 808 makes the kick. First thing you want to do is get your levels right, so I'm going to do that. Actually, a better way that I actually usually get my levels is to go into the sampler in NXT. This is an 808 I made, by the way. It's coming out in my upcoming drum kit called Spider Demon. So I'm going to select the 808 and I'm going to turn down the level down here on the bottom right side. So that sounds about right to me. I'm going to listen to it one more time. So as you can already hear, the kick is punching through the 808 a lot better. There's a few ways to enhance this or do it if you didn't want to turn down the 808. Say you wanted to keep it at relatively the same level it was. The first thing you could do is sidechain. So I'm going to set this level up to a higher setting and then show you what side chaining would be. So that was the normal setting it was at before I made any changes. So what I'm going to do is flip the rack over using tab. I'm going to open up the mixing channel drop downs, and I'm going to click on the 808 dynamic section sidechain input. I'm going to right click on it and go to kick mix channel parallel output. Alternatively, you could just drag those and the second one will automatically route. If you don't want to deal with all the cables, you could just right click it. If you have too many cables and you can't see, hit K. It'll make it a little easier for you. There's also another option in the preferences, which you can hit and figure that out. I'll show you what that looks like. Cable animation, reduce cable clutter setting. Right here you could hide all the cables if you wanted to. So if I click here and hit K, it'll look like that. Or you could hide the auto routed cables or show for selected devices only. So I'm back to the front of the rack, and what I'm going to do now is actually going to be outside of the rack, so I'm going to skip to the mixer. So as you can see within my 808 channel strip right here, this key light just came on. So what I'm going to do is play it for you and then initiate the compressor. And then I'm going to turn the settings up drastically so that you can hear what's going on. Now you see the kick just immediately just cut out the 808 completely where the kick hits. Obviously, you might not want it to be that drastic. If you do, then you know how to do it. If you don't, then you'll just edit the settings more. So I'm going to edit it, and then it's going to differ depending on your kick in 808, but it's always subjective. So even doing this, I would still turn down my 808 a little bit, just so that it's not clashing. It's still going to clash even though you're sidechaining it, because the 808 is so loud and the tail of it will still kind of drown out the tail of the kick depending on your release. So that's all good. So another thing you could do is, which is what I usually do, is change the ADSR. So what I'm going to do is turn off this sidechain, and I'm going to make sure the gain settings are where I want them to be without the compression. So I think that's cool. So I'm going to go back into my rack. So inside the rack, within the NNXT, on the front panel, you'll realize that there is an amp envelope. So on the 808, what I do is just turn this attack knob to the right. So I'm going to show you what it sounds like. The kick is coming through a lot more. So I'm going to reset that and then let you hear the 808 by itself. Now the attack, the click of that 808 is really strong. It's like a kick in itself. So if you have that on top of a kick or under a kick, however you want to say it, it's gonna clash. So you want to take that away so that your kick can show out. So your kick can have the show win the fight, hence Beat Fighter. So I'm gonna turn this attack knob to the right and let you hear the 808 by itself. Now you could even turn up the 808 more if you wanted to. After that, I would add some compression to the 808 just so that the level is more stable. If you want to do that, you could always do that here. Just make sure the side chain is off. I'll show you how to do that. So the settings that I had on there were actually pretty good. Of course, you want to tweak the threshold knob, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just gonna stop right there. The third thing you could do is deal with the frequencies of the kick in the 808. So you can see the EQ that comes inside the mixer by clicking on that button right there. Alternatively, you can hit F2. I just had to check and make sure. So I'm going to play this and we're going to look at the frequencies of the kick. Now the kick is occupying a lot of the frequencies that the 808 would normally occupy. The punch of this kick is usually going to be around, say, 200 hertz. And the 808 lives around this 40 to 80 range, usually 50 or 60. It depends on the 808. That's where the low end is going to be. So what I'm going to do is put a high pass filter on it. And cut it off at 50. Then, as I was showing you, the 808 is occupying the same range. So I'm going to turn this off for a second. So that was before and after. I'm going to go into the 808 and click on E mode so that I can fine tune my cuts. And I'm going to go to about 200 hertz and I'm going to cut. And I actually want to use this low filter bell. Where is it at? Right here. Yeah, there we go. And that just allows the kick to punch at around 200, and cutting in the 808, cutting the kick allows the 808 to hit in this sub range over here. Okay, so after listening to it in my monitors, because you always want to check multiple references, I hear that my 808 is too loud. So I'm going to go in here, turn down my 808, because preferably I like my kick louder. So the kick's going to win the fight. And that sounds good to me, so that's going to be it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. Hit that like button, subscribe. Let me know what you would like to see next. Have a great night, you guys.